Live from Numancia, Aklan in Western Visayas in the Philippines. I'm having my morning cup of coffee, my coffee with Gino cup here, my Copico Blanca. Copico Blanca is my choice of a 3-in-1 coffee here in the Philippines. Coffee, cream, and sugar. Powder form comes in this sachet. Put it in your cup, put hot water, and you got a nice cup of coffee. I'm paying like 85 pesos now for my Copico Blanca for 10 packs, 85 pesos. So about $1.75 for like 10 cups of coffee is what I'm paying. Let me just make sure I'm live here on my laptop. Make sure all right, all right. Looks like I gotta all right. Ooh, there's comments already. All right, all right. There's comments already. Let me Charlie Letts, my good friend, my good morning from Boston, Ray, hey, good morning, Ray. Howdy, Ray from Charlie Lass. Good morning, Charlie. Joe, hey, Joe Cano. All right, good morning. Gino and Ray. Jeffrey. Good morning, brother Gino. Good morning, Jeffrey. Morning, Joe from Ray. All right. Let me start with the weather. I always start with the weather. I just took Leanna to school. It wasn't raining this morning. Cloudy. It was cloudy and cooler temperatures again. It was nice and cool, man. It was like right now 23 degrees Celsius. So there's about 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Cool weather for us here. You know, it's like anything in the 70s degree Fahrenheit is considered cool temperatures where I live anyway. Today says considerable clouds with occasional rain and thunderstorm. Same thing for tonight here in Numancia on the AccuWeather for Numancia, Aklan. On the Windy app, I actually saw Wes Pax again. I always try to keep up with him now. Ted from Bohol recommended him, and I like watching him. Looks like there might. It's not a sure thing yet, but there might be a low pressure area entering the Philippine of PAR, the Philippine Area of Responsibility soon. It's not yet under the PAR. It's east of Mindanao, east of Davao City. So it's still developing. So we can't tell whether it's going to be low pressure area. Usually brings a lot of rain, and also a lot of times it turns into a tropical depression, considered a typhoon. So there's a chance, but towards the end of the week here is what they're predicting. Maybe tomorrow it will get closer to the Philippines area of responsibility. And under the Pag-asa website, Pag-asa is the kind of like the weather channel for the Philippines. Because of the shear line, it says Visayas, which we're part of here in Visayas, Caraga, Davao Region, Misamis Oriental, cloudy skies, scattered rains, isolated thunderstorms. Batanes and Babuyan, cloudy skies with light rain because of the northeast monsoon. The rest of Mindanao, localized thunderstorms in the rest of Mindanao. And Metro Manila, rest of Luzon, northeast monsoon. Partly cloudy skies, isolated light rain. So pretty much looks like the entire Philippines again, you can experience some type of rain or some type of, but no typhoons of any kind. The dollar to peso, I'm always being asked now, the dollar to peso exchange rate, 58.85 pesos per $1. A little bump from yesterday. Yesterday's 58.84. Now it's 85. So hovering over that 59 peso exchange rate. All right, let me go back here. Go back. All right, I think Lowell right here. Kumusta from Oregon? Mabuti ako kapatid. Mabuti Lowell. God bless my brother. Fortune, my brother in Bacoor, in Cavite. Good AM, Gino fam, and the Panay Pasi. Done. Oh, thank you, Ray, for the thumbs up. Good AM, Fortune. Good AM, Charlie, Ray, Joe, Lowell. Hey, Derek. All right, Derek, sent me a topic this morning. We're friends now on Facebook, and he sent me a topic. That's going to be our topic today. I'm going to cover this topic. Let me just pull up his message to me. All right, there it is. Here you go. From Derek from Hawaii, my brother in Hawaii. Here a good topic. Philippines don't want to move back to Philippines. They don't want to leave children and grandchildren. And there's a lot of that. I actually talked to especially a lot of Filipino Americans, Filipinos that had migrated to America like me when I was a kid, migrated to America, lived and worked all their lives in America. Now they're collecting Social Security. But a lot of times they don't want to go back to the Philippines. I've noticed there's some, I've talked to a few of them, friends of mine in California, friends of mine in Arizona, friends of mine in Florida. It's usually the guy, the Filipino American that wants to come back. It's usually the wife that doesn't. The Filipina wife that went to the U.S. Aren't the ones that don't want to come back. Several reasons, for sure, different reasons for everybody. And like Derek was saying, for them, they do not want to leave their kids in Hawaii, or don't want to leave their grandkids in Hawaii. And to me, that's understandable. It's like, that's your kids, your grandkids. You're attached to that, right? So I could understand that. But he's not alone. I know I have a friend right now. He said that he's from California. He's going to be here soon, like the end of February. He's going to stay here for 4 or 5 months. And he comes by himself. His wife stays in the U.S. because that's kind of like their agreement. He likes it here, but she doesn't. So there's always something like that. But different couples, you work it out, right? You work it out. It's like, it is what it is. Yeah, we're all different. We all have to deal with spouses. We all have to deal with things like that in a different way. So a lot of times, people that I talk to that, they love the Philippines, a lot of times they live in America, they live, and then they just vacation here. And to me, that's nothing wrong with that. I've always, for me, if you can afford retirement in the United States, it's a better country. It's better than everything that you'll ever find here in the Philippines. So to me, the Philippines, for me, just my opinion, it's like everybody's got their own opinion. To me, the Philippines is for people like me. Wanted to retire early, wanted to retire on my military pension alone. I was 45. I couldn't do that in the United States. I couldn't do that now, even if I got Social Security at 62. If I collect Social Security at 62, have a military pension, that might not even be enough in the United States now, the way things are going, the way things are telling me how everything's so expensive in the U.S. with mortgage, with property insurance, with you name it, right? We got the United States got insurance for everything, and it's not cheap, unfortunately. But for me, I've always I've never felt if I could afford to retire in the United States, I would be in the United States. That there's no reason why I would be here in the Philippines. The United States is better at everything compared to the Philippines. Better infrastructure, you're going to get better medical care, everything's more efficient, you got everything online, everything delivered to you. There's really nothing I can think of that the Philippines offers better than the Philippines. Maybe just maybe the people, the people in the Philippines, the more calm, maybe, people aren't so aggressive, maybe people aren't so, quick to get angry, that kind of feel in the US. Oh man, it went fast, man. All my comments went fast. I better catch up on the comment. That tells me there's a lot of comments, so I have to try to. I'll continue with my discussion about people choosing not to come to the Philippines because of different reasons. But one being they have kids and grandkids in the U.S. We had rain clouds last night from Fortune, huge area, but rain did not fall in Bacoor. All right. Good morning from Hawaii, from Derek. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything here. Charlie, Lowell, Ray. I think I caught up there. Good AM, Derek from Fortune. Hi, Fortune from Joe. Pinay Hart from Oceanside, California. Good morning, Pinay Hart. Brother Gino, Lowell, good morning, Fortune. God bless. Pinay, hi, brother. Fortune, Joe Cano. Good AM, Pinay Hart. Joe Cano, Pinay Hart. Beluz, hey Beluz, my brother in Leyte, man. Sounds like it's raining in Leyte again, and I'm looking at the windy app. Looks like you're getting rain there, but nothing new to you, right, Beluz? Nothing new to you. Hi, beautiful Pinay. All right, Colonel. Hey, good morning, everyone. Have a great day. Colonel. Good morning, Beluz, Pinay Hart, Vaughn. My Philippine high school classmate, male, curses the Philippines and say it's a backwards country. He migrated to Canada and professed would never return to the Philippines. Ain't nothing wrong with that. He's entitled to that. I mean, like I said, Vaughn, even for Canada, US, the Philippines is behind, right, on a lot of things. It's a bit, so like if you can afford to retire in Canada, you can retire in the United States. I don't see a reason for people to come to the Philippines. Just my opinion. Like I said, the Philippines for me is for people looking for a quieter life, retire on a budget, a simple life, easy to find a simple life in the Philippines, especially in the provinces, it doesn't require a lot to retire here, whereas I know in the US, even if you're retired, there's just a lot, it's like maybe hopefully you got your house paid off, but if not, you got a mortgage, property insurance, car insurance, all the bills that come with living in the US. There's just a lot of bills, It's like here in the Philippines, I got like an electric bill, I got a water bill, and I got an internet bill. That's pretty much my bills here. I got like 3 bills. I pay my vehicle insurance once a year, and I pay like 8,000 pesos for a full coverage of my car for the whole year. It cost me like $160, $160 for a full coverage of my car. Everything's cheaper. That's why I don't even consider it a bill, because I already paid it for the whole year 2026. I could have never done that in the US. I could have never paid. I could go to my car insurance and say, hey, I'm paying for the whole year. I never done that when I was in the US. I couldn't afford to do that there. Morning, Colonel. God bless from Lowell. Good morning, Colonel, from Ray. There, Ray. All right, Vaughn, Colonel, Pinay. I have a friend do not want to come back to the Philippines. They were selling us their property in Antel Grand Village. Kuya Fort, are you familiar with that place? It was too pricey though. All right. And I know, I mean, I have friends here in Calibo, it's like, they live in California. They have a house here. They got property here in Calibo. They're trying to get rid of it, because like they seldom come to Calibo, because like I said, it's like if you can afford retirement in the U.S. and you got money in the U.S., I don't see it. You just got better everything there. You got better medical care. It's more efficient. It's like all the conveniences are in the U.S. Good morning, Bon. Living the high life. Belus. Good morning, Pinay. Ray, Fortune, and all from Belus. Living the high life in Tagaytay, Ray. All right, there's go, Bon. Blessed Belus. Joe, that is the hardest thing for me, leaving my kids. All right, Joe, all right. But some I only see 1 to 2 times a year. So don't want to spend the other, right? It's like I remember when I was in the United States, my relatives in the U.S., I might see them at Thanksgiving or I might see them at Christmas, but we were all spread out. We were in California, Texas, New Jersey, New York, Arizona. So I was lucky to see them maybe once every 2-3 years because everybody's doing their own thing. Everybody does their own thing in America. Now it's a different dynamic if your kids are like, you live in the same town and you see your kids all the time and see your grandkids all the time. That's hard to leave. But if you're not seeing them anyway, you can still visit them, right? Like Joe, like when you come here, to the Philippines, if you miss them that much, go see them, once a year or once every 2 years, or they come see you. It's like, that's an amazing trip for somebody in the U.S. to come to the Philippines on a vacation. They can see so much here, enjoy on a vacation. Trying to pinch pennies to survive. Cheaper areas far from kids. Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm hearing more and more. There's people that are well off in the U.S. I know that, but a lot of people, the reason they're coming here to the Philippines, like JP. JP told me, it's not like JP's poor in the United States, but he wanted to retire. He wanted to stop working, and he wasn't sure whether what he'd saved up, whatever pension he was going to get, whether it was going to be enough in the U.S. Now here in the Philippines, he knows, he's already like bought a motorbike. He's going to Boracay this weekend. He's met a girlfriend here. He's got a life here already. And JP hasn't even been here 2 months. He hasn't even been here 2 months. That's hard to do in the United States. When you retire in the United States, a lot of people I talk to, a lot of the thing that comes up too when they retire in the United States, the people that they're working with, all of a sudden you're working with these people, you hang out with them, right? You're at work, you got luncheons, you got birthdays, you got like after work activities. But when you retire, those people are still working. All of a sudden you kind of like, you're not one of them anymore because, they're, in a lot of ways, they're probably like jealous because they're like, you're getting to retire and they're not, they got to deal with all the stress still. So it's a change also, like if you're retiring in the U.S., like I hear that from people, like, what am I going to do now? If I'm in the U.S., I was working and then I retire. What's my time going to be now? I think in the Philippines, it's a lot easier just because here, there's so many retirees here. I mean, it's hard to go anywhere in the Philippines now where you're not going to meet a retiree or an expat from all over the world, not just the U.S., Canada, Australia, British, Korean, Japanese. You're gonna meet retirees here in the Philippines, especially if you go to like expat hubs like Dumaguete, Angeles, Iloilo, Cebu, Davao. You're gonna have a lot of expats that everybody's just chilling, man. Everybody's just like having lunches, having coffee in the morning, sitting down, talking to other retirees, and then have partners, have girlfriends, have wives here, hard to do in the U.S., especially if unfortunately something happened and you become single in the United States and you're in your 50s or your 60s, it's almost impossible to meet anybody in the US at 50s or 60s. Unlike here in the Philippines, you come here, you're 50s or 60s, you're gonna meet somebody. The only people I don't see not meeting anybody if you're like a real jerk. If you're really not got a bad attitude about everything. Yeah, it's like even Filipinas can spot that. But most of the time, if you're a good person, you're gonna meet good people here. Pinay Heart, she basically selling them in a lower market value. She told me the value of the land in Until Grand Village, grand value 39 plus per square meter. She is convincing me to buy their 240 square meter. That's a big lot. 240 square meter. That's a freaking mansion. That's a lot of land, man. It's like to build a house. It's like and that's the thing here with properties here, Pinay Heart. You never know what property values here. It's not the same here in the Philippines where you can find comps. You can go online in your neighborhood and you can check how much does this house sell, how much does this house sell. You can kind of get a comparison on how much the land or how much housing. There's nothing like that here. There's no listing. A lot of sales here on homes are kind of like private, through an attorney, and it's private. The people don't announce how. I can walk around here, people moving in here, unless the person tells me how much they bought their house. I wouldn't know how much they paid for their house. It's all secretive here when it comes to land deals and all that. CS, okay. Hello from Los Angeles. All right, Los Angeles. That was my landing spot in America when I went to America. I also got my United States citizenship in Los Angeles Superior Court. Is where I got my citizenship. I've been considering living in the Philippines. Do you have kids or grandkids in the U.S.? I have one son. Jordan. He lives in Tucson, Arizona. He's 30. He's going to be 32 years old. And he lives in Tucson, Arizona. And I have a grandkid with Jordan. But I see him. He comes to the Philippines, not a problem for him seeing me. He's got a good job. He works in IT. But he's always been independent. I was in the military. He was a military kid. When he was 18, he's off on his own. So it was never like we were together all the time. It wasn't like that. But we're close. We talk all the time. We text message and we video chat all the time. Joe, I talk to my family through video. Yeah, that's the same thing I do. I talk to my sister every week, in Houston. We video call all the time. So it's not like my sister was here a couple of years ago and he's just planning to visit me again this year. A lot of times, a lot of the people, my good friends, my family in the US, they want to come visit me, because for them, when they visit me, I have the time. It's like, if they visit me for 3 weeks, I can devote the 3 weeks to them. I can take them anywhere. I can take Boracay. I can take them Iloilo. I'm permanent vacation. They're still working. So for me, if I visit them, they're still working. So there's very limited time that they would have for me. People in the US, they only get like 2, maybe 3 weeks of PTO, so they're not going to waste that if I visit them. They're 2 weeks PTO every year. They're not going to waste that on me, I did chat more often than yeah, right, Ray. A lot of time I have friends now that I video call and chat more than when I was in the US. People, when you're in the US, you're busy with work, you're busy with things in the US. You don't have time. Unlike here, like most of us, like Ray, check you out. You're like on my live stream, it's like we can send messages. We can like meet up somewhere, kind of those things happen here all the time. Not as easy in the US. People don't stay connected when they're in the US because they got to earn money. You got to make money. You got to hustle and make money in the US. Belus, yes sir. Rain, rain, rain. I'm building the ark. You're building the ark? Hey man, I can't wait to see the ark. Belus, you know, it's like if it's built like your house, I know it's gonna be an awesome ark, man. From the upper valley, only a few miles. All right, Belus. Lucita, good morning, Gino and family, and everyone watching the live stream. My good friend in Maine, Lucita. How's everyone doing? Hope all is well. All is well, all is well. Tomorrow, Kal-El, we're gonna take Kal-El. He'll be 3 months. Our new puppy, Kal-El, the Shih Tzu. He's gonna be 3 months tomorrow, and he's gonna go to the vet for more shots. I think this is the third series of shots. Hopefully the last. Hopefully the last. You know, he doesn't like getting a shot, but you know, it's a necessary thing. Pinay Heart, haha, Belus, Pinay Heart, hi Lucita, CS, okay. What province are you in? I'm in the Aklan province. Aklan province is located in Panay Island. There are 4 provinces in Panay Island: Antique province, Aklan province, Capiz province, and Iloilo province. There are the 4 provinces here in Panay Island. The inconvenience in the Philippines bothers my friend. The bills in Canada do not bother him, especially when he and his dad had a health scare. Yeah, I mean, the Philippines is not for everyone, you know. That I know. Even people that have been to the Philippines, you know, a lot of times they'll say, man, I can't see I love visiting the Philippines. I love vacationing in the Philippines, but I can't see myself living there. I hear that from people, you know. It's like, it's not for everyone, you know. It's like, especially a lot of times, you know, with Filipinos that's lived here, maybe like me, they grew up here as a kid. They live in America or they live in Canada after, like me, for over 30 years. You get westernized, man. You get Americanized, you know. You get used to all your gadgets, your sports car, your garage that opens up, you know. It's like pulling your garage closed, you know. You get used to like luxury and having that kind of lifestyle, you know. So hard to give up, you know, hard to give up. Now, we're all different, you know. We're all looking, you know, for me, especially now, I'll be 60 years old this year, you know. I just enjoy the peacefulness here. You know, I enjoy that I have privacy, my gated community here. I can walk. It's quiet all the time. I don't have to talk about politics with anyone, you know, Philippine politics, U.S. politics. I don't have to do anything about politics, you know. It's like, I barely watch the news. You know, the only reason I watch the news is because you guys tell me, "Hey, Gino, did you see this? Oh, Gino," I get messages from people. Gino, look at this. You know, that's the only reason I try to keep up with the news. But for me, man, I just want to enjoy the rest of my life in peace, man. That's like more than anything. That's a priority now in my life. Lucita, hi, Pinay Heart. Kevin Shores, what's up? What's up, Gino? Kevin Shores, all right. I got $120 a month in my car insurance. Yeah, see, I know that, man. I know, Emilio. You know, it's like, when I was in the U.S., I was probably about the same. I was probably paying the same. There's no way I was gonna pay $1,500 a year cash for the whole year. Here in the Philippines, I just tell them, yeah, well, how much it is for the whole year. I'm paying for the whole year, so I'm paid up all the way to like next January. I'm already paid up. I paid like 160 or 170 for my car insurance. You know, so I like that. I like that everything's affordable. Everything's affordable. J Boy, good morning, Kuya Gino. Hello, J Boy. Pinay Heart, hi. JB, J-Boy, Pinay Heart, Ray. The other tick in the pro column for the Philippines is weather, especially after big snowstorm. Oh yeah, we never have to worry about snow, right? The only time I really shoveled snow in my life was when I lived in Japan. I was lucky enough when I was living in the U.S. I lived in California, I lived in Texas, I lived in Louisiana, I lived in Arizona. Everything down south, everything down south. I never had to like shovel snow, but when I experienced shoveling snow when I lived in northern Japan, I said, man, this thing sucks. This thing is terrible, man. Your back be sore, man. Especially now, if I'm like the way I am now, but the way my body's not the same anymore. I'm kind of fragile now, man. If I have to shovel snow, man, that's a tall task for me now at 60, man. One, right? Two on Ray. Snowbirds, baby. Exactly, Ray, from the Colonel. Pinay, we can have a great doctors and all resources, but at the end of the day, we found ourselves alone. I like to be around with friends, neighbors that cares. LOL. I get it. Pinay Heart, because when I was working in Arizona, when I was in Tucson, Arizona, even just my regular friends, like I said, everybody's busy doing their thing. They got their own pressures, right? They're trying to survive. They're trying to provide for their family. So a lot of times, get-togethers, it's like hanging out. People just don't have that much time. Like I said, if I saw my relatives in the U.S. like for Thanksgiving or Christmas, that's a good year. That's a good year. If I can go 3-4 years without seeing, what used to be a close cousin of mine, or even my sister. I don't see my sister every year when I was in Arizona, because she lived in Houston. So we don't see each other every year when I was there. But here in the Philippines, most of the time we're all retired. We're all retired here. It's like here in Aklan province, a Colonel, James and Karen, we can see each other anytime. I can get a phone call from the Colonel today. Gino, what are you doing today? Let's go fishing. All right, let's go. We can do things like that. And we develop friendship because like we do a lot of things together. Come back home, Pinay Heart. Come back home, Pinay Heart. If we are happy, we don't need to visit medical doctors oftentimes. This is why a lot of Filipinos doesn't see doctors until they are really old. Pinay Heart, Colonel, we are working on it. Our tenant decided to breach the lease, so we are in the process of selling the last house. Yes, less stress equals better health. I agree. I totally agree with that, Ray. It's like jump. Gino, still a fan. It's a good Air Force day. All right, aim high, brother, aim high. Good Air Force day. Good AM Blues, Colonel. Fortune, watch Colonel driving around Iloilo City to the wharf for Roro. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, he's using that dual thing screen to Guimaras and then drive around Guimaras. Yeah, and you can tell the Colonel's having fun. I mean, it's like you're riding around on a motorbike. You go hopping on a ferry with your motorbike, going to a different island, riding your motorbike in an island, man. It's like and we can do that anytime we want. We can do that on a Monday, on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday. There is no weekend. We don't have to wait on weekends, man. Good AM. Which Antel location, for instance? Did you see Kyle Tucker sign a big... Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I'm a big Dodger fan. Derek. So, I don't miss. I keep track of my Dodgers, and so it looks like it's going to be a good year. It's always going to be a good year with the Dodgers. We're loaded with the players, so it's just a matter of, like, everybody staying healthy. If everybody stays healthy, I don't see it. They're going to be back in the playoffs for sure. Pinay Heart, Dasmariñas. Oh, that's always been like an expensive area, Pinay Heart. Dasma, yeah, for short. People call Dasma. Even when I was in the 70s, but a kid here in the Philippines, that place, yeah, always been like a rich area. I know many LDR marriages where the wife and children did not come back, but the husband did. Travels back and forth. Yeah, like I said, Belus, whatever works, right? Especially, when you're like in your retirement age, we're all up and advanced in age. It's like, however you can, manage to make your marriage still work. Whatever works. Good morning, Grandpa Gino and all. Grandpa Gino and all. Derek, it's not like the olden days when had to rely on snail mail. Yeah, no, I remember that, Derek. I remember during my military days, I would write my mom, my sister. It takes like 2-3 weeks for your letter to get there, right? And you put a picture, you put a picture in there. When I was like doing like training, going to a different base, a temporary duty, I would send postcard. Remember postcards? You would send them postcards, and now, man, it's like you can just go on your phone. Hey, what's up, dude? And you're talking to them live. It's like on the phone. So it's not like you're gonna. Colonel, thanks, Fortune Ray. Right. I tell my brother and sister that I've already seen the US. If they want to visit, comes to me and experience something new. Exactly, right? Like for me, I spent over 30 years in the US. People ask me, how come you haven't been back? I haven't been back since I came here, 2011. I haven't been back in the US. Why would I? I've seen everything in the US. There's nothing like that would excite me to see. I've seen the Grand Canyon. I've been to Yosemite. I've been skiing in the US. There's nothing that would really want me to go. Oh, I haven't. Even like sports. I can watch sports on TV. My Dodgers. I wouldn't mind seeing another Dodger game at Dodger Stadium. But if I don't ever get to see Dodger Stadium again, I've been there. I've been there. A lot of times my relatives, my sister, cousins, or friends in the U.S., they haven't seen a lot of the Philippines. A lot of them haven't even seen Boracay. It's like, so for them, if they come here, I'm like their tour guide in Boracay, man. I told my friend we still have a house in Imus, but they desperately selling them to us on payment plan. Yeah, Pinay Heart. I wouldn't feel pressure buying that. From somebody. The thing here in the Philippines, and I keep saying this to everyone, it's easy to buy here, land, build a house, but if you're trying to get rid of it, man, it's so difficult to sell anything here. Especially if you're expecting cash. It's like a lot of times you might get an offer for the house, but it's going to be installment payments, long-term payments to purchase your house. That's why, if you buy a land or you buy a house here in the Philippines, make sure it's something that you can walk away from. Don't be like, if you buy it or buy the land or buy the house, that is something that you're going to be stuck with, or because that's not a good feeling. Like me in this house, I can walk away this house tomorrow. If I decide, man, I kind of want to live in Tagaytay, it's like I can just hop on, Dazzle night. We can just go to Tagaytay and start renting, and then, I like that kind of freedom, because here in the Philippines, and if you're trying to sell anything here, it is not going to be easy. It'll take years for you to sell anything here. If that's in General Trias, good location. It's along the Centennial Highway. This is like the extension of Cavitex. You are near to the entrance of Calax, Cavite, Laguna Expressway. The area has SNR. Yes, General Trias. J-Boy, Pinay Heart, your friend sounds desperate to sell. And that's how most everybody that I know that sells a house here in the Philippines, they get desperate because they feel trapped, they feel stuck at the area, like I said, if you can't don't buy anything that you can't walk away from here. If it's gonna suck up all your savings of your retirement nest egg, don't buy it. Don't buy it. It's like you don't want to be like stuck with the property here that you're not going to be able to get rid of. Not a good feeling. Not a good feeling to be in that bind. A lot of things, a lot of times Americans, I think they're just stuck on this notion. I know in the US, you're kind of like taught the way, buy, it's better to own, better to own. Here in the Philippines, I really don't think that's the same dynamic, because just because it's hard to sell, and the property here doesn't appreciate like it is in the US. I know if you're real estate in the US, if you purchase a home, if you live 5-10 years, their chances are when you sell, you're going to be on the up and up. Man, here in the Philippines, if you've timed it wrong when you buy, you could be living in the house 5-10 years, and when you leave, you might get less one that you paid. So not the same, not the same. It's like for me, rent first year for year, learn the real estate, how it works here before buying anything here. People are always in a hurry here to buy land and build on the land and all that, man. Make sure it's an area where you want to be at, Yes, JB, she kept asking me. I told her that still a lot of money. Yeah, a lot of money. And a lot of it is like, it's like, I would just tell her, it's like, I don't got that kind of money. I don't have that kind of money. And yes, Fortune, brand new SNR, General Trias. Big malls like Robinson, many big pure gold, etc. Joe, you can anyway visit the US on non-winter time. Yeah, right? Easy enough, If you start missing your kids, grandkids in the US, go visit them. Fortune, the 39K can be negotiated. Yeah, anything's negotiable. Anything's negotiable, especially if they're like in a bind like that, man. If they're asking 39, if they're in a bind, it is what it is. I'd be like offering like 19. I was like, hey, if they're desperate, because a lot of times what they paid, people here in the Philippines, they get stuck on that too. It's the amount of money they paid into something like a house or land. I paid this amount, so they're not going to take anything less. But unfortunately, values sometimes drop also. Not all values go up. So, and how, depending on how desperate they are. But Filipinos, well, they buy a brand new car, and they buy a brand new car for like $1 million. And 5 years later, they're asking for 800,000. I'm like, dude, you've been driving the car for 5 years. What happened to depreciation? And good AM, Emilio. Good AM, J Boy. Pinay Heart. They are willing offer 26K per square meter. We still need to see out there. Yeah, especially you want to look at the place, right? And then you want to look at the area. That's the worst thing you could do, Pinay, is buy with sight unseen. You don't even know. Walk the subdivision, walk the neighborhood, see if there's roosters. If your neighbors got 150 roosters in the backyard, those kind of things, man. You got to check that out before you can't buy anything like sight unseen, man. Good morning, brother Fortune, Ray. Good morning, JB, J Boy. Hey, Ray. Bill Meyer. Hey, brother. Prayers, Bill Meyer. The Colonel, Pinay, 39 is outrageous. Yeah, I'm thinking too, man. That's like Boracay prices right there, man, 39. But I do know a lot of areas in the Philippines, I do know, they ask steep. And a lot of times, like I said, even condominiums, they want to get the price that they paid for it, but hey, if there's a big, like a lot of condos open, you're not going to get the same price that you paid for it. Good morning, Bill. J-Boy, after Offer them 20K. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, J-Boy. See, me and you are thinking the same. If they're asking 39, I'm asking 19. It's like I was always like bottom them out. It's like Joe, I had thought about visiting the US once per year, but I will be bringing my dog. All right, in the Philippines. So it would be difficult to leave her with someone. She is a one person dog and stress is easy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can totally relate to that. Our dog Chloe before she was like that. She had anxiety issues. Anytime Dazzle or myself, both of us have to be at home for her to be happy. If one of us is not home, she like gets sad. she like gets sad. Peanut butter travels here. All right. Am only seeing Antel Grandvilla in General Triassic. Pinay. Draper, we have to sell our property in Imus first before we can buy another. We do not want to spend a lot of money. Oh yeah, yeah. It's like my recommendation, Pinay Heart. If you guys do decide to live in the Philippines, rent for at least 1 year. You haven't been here in a while in the Philippines. A lot of from the time you were here in the Philippines to now, things have changed. Trust me, things have changed. In your mind, maybe you're thinking, oh, I lived there before, I can do this or that, but it's a different dynamic once you leave the Philippines and you're gone 20 to 30 years. When you come back, things that you might have tolerated back 20 years ago or 30 years ago might get to you day to day, like the noise, the garbage, the pollution, it's like just the overall, you got motorbikes, you got tricycles, you got jeepneys honking, you gotta make sure you're adjusted to that. It's like that's why I even tell even like expats that's never been here, come here first, try out the Philippines for a year before making big decisions, because it's one thing to watch it on YouTube. It's one thing if I talk to you how it is here. It's another thing for you to be here, for you to be walking in Kalibo, for you walking to the public market. It's a different experience for everyone. Some people love it, some people don't. It's like I know for JP, he loves everything. I mean, the guy is like having so much fun when he walks around Kalibo. He just kind of smiled. He's texting me, Gino, man, I saw this. It's awesome. But not everybody's like that. And a lot of times I notice the ones that aren't eager or aren't having fun, eventually they'll probably end up leaving, because the overall accumulation of things that you have to tolerate to live in the Philippines sometimes becomes overwhelming. It's like for me it never got to that point, because for me, my option was go back to the US and work. And I was not gonna do that. I wasn't gonna do that. It's like for me, that would have been like the nightmare. That would have been like the worst thing. That would be like heading back and have to apply for a job and have to work again. So to me, I was gonna adjust to anything that I have to adjust here. I have to adjust to the ways here. I was gonna do everything in my power to last here in the Philippines. You could get beautiful beachfront property for less. I know, right? For happy February from Parañaque. Hey, Lawrence, see you soon, Lawrence. See you soon. Lawrence had kindly invited Dazzle and I to Boracay this month. It's this month. I gotta look at the calendar, Lawrence. And I'm done with my antibiotics, man. Today was the last day of my Cipro. I'm feeling better. I'll get checked this week. I'll get some blood work done, and then I'll go to my ENT doctor, make sure, and I'll just stay home until that Boracay day comes, because I don't want to get sick again. I've had the super flu, man. I've had the super flu now for over 2 weeks. Fortune, but Gentry is beside Dasma, so often mistaken. Joe, also I ate long plane flights. Yeah, I don't think any of us like long plane rides, man. Especially That's hard. I know, like, I don't even want to think about that. If I ever have to go back to, visit the U.S. or something, that long flight, I don't look forward to that long plane rides anymore. Are not fun. Take a while to recover. Yeah, the jet lag and uh, I don't have back issues, but if I have to sit in a chair, like that long, I have to keep getting up, stretching, so my back doesn't hurt. Fortune, good AM, Ted and LV. Kuya Fortune, she told me Desma in general. LOL. Good AM, Fortune, Pinay Heart. It looked like that place has a big park. I bet the HOA is expensive there, Fortune. Good AM, PBT, Joe. Gino is going to have a tough time catching up. It's all right, all right. At least was able to bring up the topic, so everybody starts discussing. Don't want to leave the U.S. because of kids and grandkids. And I just want to make sure I covered everything. Most of us retired Filipino. Yeah, I pretty much covered it, and then people are discussing it anyway, talking about it's not easy. It's not I can relate to that. If you're attached to your kids, grandkids in the U.S., it's hard to leave that. I know my friend Eileen, Joel, he loves it here in Calibo, and he wish they can stay here. But Eileen, she's so attached to her kids and grandkids, so she doesn't want to leave Arizona. Kevin Shores, is he really a colonel from the Colonel's Chronicles? Is he really a colonel? Kevin, it's all perspectives. It's all perfect perspective. That's you meant Gino. Gino is in Makati. This one is in Cavite. Oh, okay. I didn't know there's two. I'm sorry, Fortune. Must be, I'm dated. I'm dated because, like, I've always thought there was only one Dasmariñas. So I guess there's a Dasma in Cavite now. I never heard that. I thought Dasmariñas, because I had classmates when I went to Letron College in the 70s, and they live in Dasmariñas. I never thought there was two. I thought there was only one Dasma. Thank you for. I didn't know that. Now, see, I learned something new every day. He eats at KFC. He just lost his beard. He eats at KFC. The colonel, he's like, lost his beard. And started out developing condos, but now into residentials. Lynn gets mad if I go to the grocery store without her. I couldn't imagine going to a different country alone, especially if we lived in the US and I wanted to visit the Philippines alone. Does it really cost that much, Dasma Cavite? More to let it than joke Pinahart, Ray, why would she get mad when you are going to grocery store? Jealousy. Other Filipinos trying to poach him. That happens now, 6K around Fortune. Now it's going for at least 20K. Joe, but maybe true. Agreed, Fortune. Since very high, yeah, very high. People always, when people sell things here in the Philippines anyway, they automatically overprice it. It's a negotiating tactic. That's the way I look at it. They overprice it, so I do go the opposite way. I lower it. It's like at least by 50%, even 60%. That way you're kind of like trying to meet common ground. It just depends on how desperate they are to sell. And if you got cash, man, you can get some good deals here because not many people got cash here. Ayala, Bon, Philippine property buying is like going through the jungle. It's part of the adventure. This is one of the reasons why my former classmate, good friend, dislikes the Philippines. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, like I said, well, he's entitled, right? I've not heard many Filipinos that I talked to online anyway that dislikes the Philippines. I really don't. It's like I think your friend's the only one I've heard. Most of the Filipinos that I know, Ray, all of them in Sacramento, Vincent, Joe in Florida, all of them, like, they're dreaming of the Philippines. I've never heard of anybody that just says dislikes the Philippines. That's a Filipino, man. That's like, but everybody's entitled to their own thing. They're entitled to their own thing, man. I don't want to own anything. I like the freedom walking. Yeah, right. To me, Ray, that's the only reason I bought this house here. It was like, to me, it was so cheap. At the time, 10 years ago, this house was 1.5 million. At the time, $24,000. Man, I paid more for a car. And we were renting anyway. I was renting in Calibo, a 2-bedroom apartment. I was renting, and my rent was like 7,000. And to purchase this house, after I put a down payment, 20% down payment, my payment was going to be 10,500, so less than $200. So I was like, that's nothing. That was nothing to me. So, and I'm glad I did, because, like, it got developed. It's a nice neighborhood. The biggest thing, the main reason I bought this house was because of Chloe. Because when I was living in Calibo, it was hard to walk Chloe, because I live in an apartment, and the minute you went outside the apartment, there was like stray dogs, and I always had to carry Chloe, and I had to like go somewhere where I can walk her. Here in our neighborhood, I can just kept walking here. It was an issue. So that's the reason I bought this house, was for Chloe. Fortune, good also, Ray. Pinay Heart, Joe Cano. Unfortunately, Filipinas can be possessive, but it doesn't make sense for as simple as going to the grocery. I understand it though, Pinay Heart. I know. Here in the Philippines, especially if she's dating an afam, she's dating a foreigner. I can see that. I can see her like like this. I got you. It's like I'm making sure the foreigner is not straying, because it happens. It happens here. A lot of foreigners here date multiple women. Unfortunately, I think it's better you do a la Gino. First owner, new development. The price is legit. Yeah. It's hard, right? It's hard to like. For me, I knew that was the advertising price at Camellia, because there's no houses yet. I was number 6 home that they built here. So I was the very first house they built there. I was just renting until they finished the house. I was renting in Calibo, and then they finished the house. Then Dazzle and I moved in here. Eventually, I'll build a little house in the province for when we visit. Yeah, it's easy enough, right? Like for me, we bought the land in Katiklan. It's gonna be. I can easily build a house there in the lot, in just a small footprint, not a up and down, because I don't want those stairs anymore. Same thing, 40 square meter home just for Dazzle and I. And I could just spend maybe $18,000, $20,000, $1 million is all I'll spend to put a home in that lot. And that's all we need. That's all Dazzle and I need. Like a tiny house. It's not, we don't need anything big. Orlin might be worried that Ray will get foreigner prices. That too. It's like they have a tendency of overcharging foreigners here. The skin tax that they say. I would buy a house and property as security for a Filipina if there is a large age gap and she may have many years to live after I'm gone. Also, as a K. Yeah, there's many ways you can prepare, like me preparing Dazzle because I'm older than Dazzle. I'm going to be 60. Dazzle's going to be 31. We have a 29 age gap, but there's many ways to secure that I made sure that if something happens to me today, Dazzle's well off. She's not going to be poor. She's not going to be poor. I have a pretty high life insurance for my military days. Pinay Heart. Some people are asking me if we move back, someone is going to steal my husband. I told them they can try, they won't get a penny. I trust my husband. He has always been a faithful guy. Yeah, people can say that, but it's like I don't believe that, man. I've seen so many relationships here with a foreigner and Filipina, and I've seen so many work here. It's not that. People stay faithful, but for groceries where prices are not negotiable, then okay, ready to go alone. Joe, a legacy for any family I leave behind. She get mad yesterday when I went to SNR. Good, Joe, you are like Gino. Or maybe Ray, she doesn't want you to spend. Captain Ron. Hey, Captain Ron. I tried to check out that dairy thing, man. I couldn't. It looks like it's the agriculture something. Aqua agriculture in Calibo and Kaano. But they're not advertising well because I did that because you had mentioned they had Carabao milk. And that kind of interested, but they're not advertising well regarding that Carabao milk, man. So I'll have to really find the place. It's not like it's a definite store. It looks like it's like an educational area where they teach people, kids, field trip for aqua farming, agriculture farming, and I guess they got Carabao milk there. So it's not like going to the grocery and picking up some Carabao milk, but I will try to find it. Pinayard, have you heard Ray talk with a Cajun accent? Ray too, Bon. Pinayard, I was listening last night, his video. I don't know what is Cajun accent like. Oh man, my hopefully my friend here, he has a tendency of just calling my phone. If we get cut off on the volume, I apologize because at least he sent a text first. I'm hoping he doesn't call. Pinay Heart, I was listening. J-Boy, Pinay Heart, those people are just jealous. Ray, just bring her with you. Maybe she have trust issues. But if always anxious when can't see you, there's a lot of stress in her life. Joe, purchasing land or home in the Philippines isn't an investment like it would be back home. Yes, correct, Joe. See, some people think that. Some people think that when they buy a land here in the Philippines, it's gonna appreciate like how land is or homes in the US. Most of the time in the US, if you buy a home, if you live in that home 10, 15 years, you're gonna make money. That's not guaranteed here. That's not guaranteed here in the Philippines. Especially you see in the US all the time, like flipping, real estate flipping, buy a house, fix it up, sell it, flip it, make money. I don't see that happening here in the Philippines. I've never seen anybody flip a home here because, like I said, homes here takes years to sell. It's like not an easy proposition to sell homes here. When my husband was deployed, he had to go with a group. I'm aware of the groups like to go to these clubs where there's a lot of pretty girls. I don't care. I told him, trust him. Yeah, it's all about trust, man. It's like, that's all that we've never had issues in our relationship because we trust each other. We know we're it. We're like soulmates. I'm not going to do anything to ruin our relationship. Dazzle's not going to do anything to ruin our relationship. We have it good. We know, man. We know we're blessed. When you're in a good relationship, you don't want to mess it up, because like there's so many people in messed up relationships, right? So when you're in a good relationship, you're just thankful. You're just thankful that you found a good one. I told my husband, just don't get caught. Haha, but I trusted him. Other were freaking out. Yes, you got to have trust from Captain Ron. Do your relatives in the Philippines that help transition would remove? Nope. When I moved here to Aklan province in 2011, I went by myself. I do not have any relatives here in Aklan, in Panay Island. I went to Boracay Island. From Tucson, Arizona, I was looking online. I found a studio apartment in Boracay, contacted the lady by email. I told her, hey, can I rent this? She said, yeah. So she was my only person I knew when I came to Aklan province, was my landlord at Casa Camila, Station 3 at Angol Beach is where I rented for 18 months. But I do have relatives eventually that I met when I was little, growing up here in the Philippines. I used to spend my vacations in Bulacan. My mom is from Bulacan. My grandparents are buried in Bulacan. So I have relatives in Bulacan province near Manila. So 4 years ago now, I took Dazzle there and I saw my relatives there. I had not seen them in over 30 or 40 years, man. We were little kids. We were like playmates growing up, my cousins in the province. And now we're all like in our 50s and 60s. But it was so awesome reconnecting with them. One less thing to worry about. My sister always told her husband, it doesn't matter where you get your appetite as long as you come home for dinner. As long as you come home for dinner. Captain Ron, right? If someone gonna cheat, they can cheat near or far. So yeah. To me, I never worry about that stuff, man. Only one place to hang your hat. Joe Canoe, haha. Dasma is a village in Makati. Dasma is a city in Cavite province. Oh, I didn't know that, man. I did not know that there's a Dasmariñas city in Cavite. I've always, in my mind, I always knew one Dasmariñas in Makati, where I had classmates that lived there back in the 70s. And I've been there back in the 70s, and man, they are like mansions, You have to be rich to live in Dasmariñas in Makati. Michael, hey, Michael C. All right, good morning, bro. I am back. All right, welcome back, man. I was following you on your Facebook lives, man, but I'm glad you made it back safely. Super cold, bro. Now are getting ready for Boracay next week. All right. I'm still trying to get over this super flu, man. So hopefully by next week, I'm back to normal. I'll get my checks this week. I'm gonna get some blood work done. I always have to get blood work because I took antibiotics for 14 days and I don't know what kind of if it affected my creatinine level for my kidneys. So I have to get blood work done this week. Southern Cal, Benny. Hi, Gino. The Philippines doesn't have the MLS listings like in the US, where you can see how. Yeah, I was trying to remember what it's called, the MLS. Yeah, they don't have nothing like that here. Nothing at all. You can't find history here of how much homes here is sold. So even in our subdivision, even this gated community, people can't tell you how much each of these homes sell when new owners move in. Everything's secret here. Everything's private sale. Because everything's through a lawyer, they contract it, maybe 6 payments, maybe 10 payments, maybe, cash, you never know. So it's hard to to put a value in your home, when you're selling it, but it's never easy. I've never met anybody here that had an easy time selling it. A lot of times they sell at a loss here. More than what they paid for the land or a house, they spend on the house. A lot of expats, of course, when they come here, they try to build their homes like Western standard, swimming pool, big house. When it's time to sell, a lot of them take a loss. A lot of them like they just want to get out of it. They just want to, go back to the U.S. or whatever, and they end up selling at a loss. I've seen it happen many times. There's actually one house in Tangalan, big house, like 5 bedroom, 3 bathrooms, maid quarters, and 4 years now. Every time I pass the house, it's like overgrown jungle almost, and nobody's buying it. There's been a for sale sign for like 4 years. Not easy to sell a home here. Where you can see how much houses sold in the area. Yeah, the comps. So you can do the comps. So you can see how much you can kind of base it, right? If your neighbor's house sold for 500,000, your house is similar size, similar amenities, so you can kind of say, hey, put your price at about 500, right? But here, there's nothing like that. One house side to side, one house might offer 7 million, the next house might offer 12 million. It's like it's crazy. I don't know. I have lot and I'm happy with all purchases. Each has its place. Farms to condo. We utilize all properties except condo, but wife lived there during COVID. Yeah, I'm sure like looking at your house, I know you're happy. You're happy with your build. And I know, Belus, that's like something you're leaving behind to your wife and her for the future, for her future. It's kind of like the same thing I do for Dazzle. Everything we buy, I'm just leaving to her. So it's not like I'm buying it to like sell it. It's like I don't expect to like make money on the land that I bought, the house that I bought. I'm leaving it to Dazzle because I'm going to be gone before her. So, but I think some people get on that mindset that I wanted to point out. It's like, you can't be in the mindset like in the US where I think that's where people make a mistake. They come to the Philippines and the first thing they want to do is buy land, build, or buy a house and lot. Because they're thinking, I want to get in while it's cheap, that way I can make money over the years. It just doesn't work like that here. You will have a hard time selling. You're gonna have a hard time selling, especially if you build an expensive house, Western style home, and you live in an area where it's not, there's mostly Filipinos. They're not going to be able to afford what you put into that home. Welcome back, Michael C. Belus. All of my purchases and land were 1/10 of Western prices. Hey, that's the beauty of it, right? Because Belus, you live in Leyte, you live in the jungle, so they're cheap compared to like U.S. prices. But if you like look your home, Belus, like the amount of money you put in your home, the land and your build. If you ever have to sell it, if you were in that situation, I know you're not in that situation. I know that's for your wife to live on your your legacy. But if somebody had built a house like yours in that land, and you spend whatever money you spend, like let's say you spend $60,000. It's hard to find a Filipino that will be paying $60,000 for that home to live in that area because they just don't have that income. They just don't have that income. Not many people will have that income. Like here in Aklan province, we're outside the community here, outside the gated community here. I've seen homes here that, a lot of times the farmers, the landowners, the big landowners, they'll build like a mansion type house. Well, the farmers that are around here, they're not going to be able to afford that. Nobody's going to, but they don't ever plan to sell their house. And I'm sure it's the same with you. You never plan, that's going to be something you're leaving to your wife. Welcome back, Michael C. Thanks, bro. Glad to be back. Good AM, Michael C. Good AM, Southern Cal Benny. Not here because they have a habit that prices are negotiable. Hello, Fortune. Good AM. Get well, bro. All right, get well. Thank you. Good morning. Rents. People prefer private sales since they can lower the price. And a lot of times they prefer private sale rents Another thing is to avoid taxes, because like they lower the agreed upon price, but under the table they're paying more. That on the fine print that they're selling, because whatever the capital gain or whatever, you got to pay it to the Bureau of Internal Revenue here. So that's another thing that people do here. It's like it might not, the agreement or whatever, that might not be the final selling price of the house, just to avoid taxes. People do that with vehicles here. They use vehicles, and I know people do that with homes here. Now, I don't know how legal it is, and I don't want to get in trouble with that, but I know people do it. I know people do it. Rents. Most expats sell their house and lot at a loss, since the pour a lot of the finishing and fixture. Yeah, definitely. Most Filipinos, even here in Camellia, the bedrooms are small. Bedrooms are small. If I bring an expat here, a foreigner, to my house, they're going, your house is too small. Your rooms are too small. That's all I hear from people. But for Filipinos, this is not a small home. It's a normal home for a Filipino. You look so healthy, Gino. Oh, thank you, man. Love it, man. All right, appreciate that. I'm trying, man. I'm trying to stay healthy, especially now after I'm over this super flu, man. I'm gonna be back wearing a mask. I don't think I'll ever not wear a mask anymore. When I'm out in public, I'll wear a mask from now on, because this super flu, man, hit me, man. I've been sick for over 2 weeks. It's like I'm not gonna be super careful from now on. I'm not gonna expose myself. I'm gonna go back to like COVID time. I'm gonna be like putting like alcohol, washing my hands all the time, mask up, because I can't afford to catch anything, man. It's like I just don't have the immune system anymore. But if they kept the expenses at a minimum, they can earn rents. Agree. Do not pour a lot of money in a house. Yeah, because if you pour so much money in a house, like I said, if you're rich, if you can afford it, no worries, right? But if it builds something here that you can't walk away, like if it's holding you, because like I can't move, I can't go anywhere because of this house, to me that's a wrong move. It's like only build a home, only buy a home that you can walk away from. Like if you can buy the home and just say, well, next month I want to go somewhere else, I can just lock up the home, no problem. That's no problem. But if you're gonna worry about the house, if you're worried about selling it and all that, I don't think it's worth it to like invest in something here, hoping that you'll make money when it's time to sell. Man, just the paperwork here of selling a house, it's a nightmare, man. Trying to get to the buyer, seller, agreeing on who's going to pay capital gains or who's going to pay whatever. It's like, man, just the negotiation here will drive you nuts, man. It's like, you don't want to get into that here, It's not an easy negotiation like in the US, right? You see an MLS listing, you see the listing, you can talk to the real estate agent. Hey, this is my offer. I'm willing to pay closing, or I'm willing to pay this. Submit your paperwork. It doesn't work like that here, man. Over here, it's like you got to get to an attorney. Everybody's going to agree about, and a lot of times the seller here don't want to pay for anything. You, as the buyer, you end up absorbing everything, or they'll just say, I won't sell it. It's like, unless they're desperate to sell it. Not easy. Buy and sell here is not easy. Plus the fact the property market had slumped for the past 2 years due to oversupply. Ray, good morning, Michael C. All right, hey, Castaway Drip. Michael S., my brother from another in Dumaguete City. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Oh, I was gonna make an announcement today. I think I'm gonna follow. I saw you, Michael S. I'm gonna follow Michael S's lead. He mentioned that he was just gonna Monday, Wednesday, Friday on his live stream. I think I'm gonna follow his lead. I'm not gonna do the live streams daily anymore. I'm gonna do it every other day. So. Today I'll do one, tomorrow day off. The next day I'll do one, one day on, one day off. That way it's not too much. That way it's not too much live stream. That way you guys don't get sick of my face. You don't get sick about me, man. So every other day from now on. So if I have a live stream today, tomorrow I won't do a live stream. I'll do it every other day from now on. Agree. Capital gain taxes. Good morning, Ray. Rance. They avoid taxes. They avoid that. Yeah, it's like the Filipinos are known for that. It's like avoiding paying tax. I can't blame them. I can't blame them. If there's a way, there's a way, right? It's like people with the dollar that can afford expensive homes usually want to build their own home to the specs they want. One man's dream, not the next. Yeah, and I see that happen all the time, Joe. It's like people come here, foreigners come here, they buy land, they get excited, they build like their dream home, right? American standard, American furnishings, American style, big home, and then something happens. Something happens to where they have to sell it. Either maybe somebody got sick, they need the money, or the American has to go back to the US because they can't get the medical care here. Something happens and it becomes a problem selling the house. Especially, if you build a house like out here in the province, like Aklan province, you build it like in areas like Ibahay, Nabas, Altabas, or Libacao, out in the mountains. You build like this, you fenced it, cement fenced it, build a big house, big yard, everything. It's nice. It's your dream house. But when it's time to sell, who's gonna be your person buying that? That's your dream house. That's what you're looking at. But if something happens where you have to sell it, that's why even if you're leaving it to your partner, your spouse, I would recommend keep it like Filipino standard. Don't build so big, because that's what I'm talking about. The person, the foreigner that built that gigantic home in Tangalan by the beach. He passed away. His wife, that's going to be the inheritance, right, to his wife. Well, she can't maintain it. She can't maintain it because she no longer has his income. She can't afford to maintain that big electricity alone, the caretaking thing. That's why you have to be careful. Think it through before you build a home. I know your intentions are good. Your intentions are like me. I want to live something for Dazzle when I'm gone, but I want to make sure she can afford it. Like this house is 2-bedroom one. This house will be ours in another little over 4 years now. So I know this house will forever be in Dazzle's name. She'll always own this house, so because it's affordable. It was affordable for me to buy. And even if she wants to sell it, it's not hard to sell because 2-bedroom, 1-bath, a starter home for a Filipino family. Man, when you build a 5-bedroom, 4-bath, maid's quarters, 3-bathroom, swimming pool, man, not many Filipinos can afford that, especially here in the province, man. Right on, taxes, Gino, Fortune. Good morning, Michael S. Rents. Example, if the selling price is 1 million, they will only declare 500,000. Hey, I'm not saying it on live, but I know it happens, right, Rens? I know it happens. I've seen it happen. It's a way to get around the Bureau of BIR. Kind of like the IRS in the U.S. It's a way. Now, the IRS, I don't know if you could do that with IRS. It's like IRS is pretty good at things like that, man. The BIR, though, the Bureau of Internal Revenue in the Philippines, they're not as efficient as collecting taxes. Good morning, Master Fortune. Rhino in the Philippines. How many square meter your home? Our house here, 88 square meter is the lot, the whole lot. My actual house is only 40 square meters, 430 square feet. Because I know feet is more, people understand it more. So our house is not big, it's like, but this is a typical Filipino starter home. If you ask a Filipino, just got married, 1 kid, 2 kid, this is a starter home for a Filipino. This is a good size home already for a Filipino. For an American, this is a closet. This is a walk-in closet for an American. A nice way to invest is buying back foreclosure, house and lot. Yeah, that's a good way. If you can get it at a really low price, right? Right, Rance? Raining up your way, Gino. Rain here. It's not raining, but it's cloudy. It's cloudy. I took Leanna to school this morning. It wasn't raining, but still cloudy. No sun. No sun today. No sun today. Smart words on homes and size. Thank you, Rhino. Thank you. Hey, Brian, my brother in Galveston County, Texas. Hello. Oh, you're almost to the end of the chat. Oh no, I caught up, man. I caught up to the end of the chat. But I did prepare another. Yesterday, I started talking about China and the Philippine relation. I kind of like I found that I've been interested in it. It really got me interested reading about. I'm keeping track of that because it's important. I think it's very important here in the Philippines. Right now I think it's a pivotal time in the history of the Philippines right now. The way things are going, it kind of worked out to the Philippines' advantage. I think that they, all the bullying China was doing, all the bullying the past couple of years, how China's been, you've seen ramming the ships, right? Ramming the Philippine Coast Guard ships, water cannon with the water cannon and like the Philippine Coast Guard ships. I think it kind of worked to the Philippines' advantage, and I'll explain it. I love how the things have because at one time before I would say the previous administration here, the Philippines was kind of like playing both sides, and I think the Philippines is still in that sweet spot right now, the way things are going. I think it's always good to don't take, right now the Philippines is more like aligned with America, right? America is like putting a lot of money in the Philippines. I was doing research yesterday. The United States, historic 500 million in foreign military financing to the Philippines. They announced this back in July 2024. So there's already money coming in, 500 million back in July 2024, but it's already a bill already approved authorizing $2.5 billion for the years 2026 to 2030. So basically 500 million a year in military aid that the Philippines is getting, because there's a high interest for America to upgrade the military here in the Philippines, and it is upgrading fast. Not just America is Philippines just got 5 new 19-meter Coast Guard type ships from Japan. France gave the Philippines 40 attack patrol boats. There's just a lot of interest in the Philippines right now because they're seeing what China's trying to do in what they call South China Sea. We call it West Philippine Sea here. But what China's trying to do, they're building all those structures out in the ocean, right, by the reefs. They're trying to build land basically out, to control that thoroughfare. And everybody has interest, America, Australia, Japan, South Korea, all the allies here they want that corridor open. They don't want China restricting anything. And that's important. It's like geopolitically and also economically. You don't want a country controlling a seaway where a lot of economic, a lot of transfer of like oil, supplies and all that. You don't want one country controlling that. And I don't think the United States is going to allow that, anyway. It's like, and now, the Philippines were equipped now with BrahMos missiles that Philippines purchased it like over $380 million. They're now deployed. Back in November, the Philippine Marines, it's already deployed in the Philippines. The cruise missiles that the United States, it came here 2024. The cruise missiles that have a range to hit from the Philippines all the way to China. That's here in the Philippines. They landed here in the Philippines in 2024 and they never left. And they're adding to it. So I don't think there's before people would ask me, aren't you worried about China, taking over the Philippines? Not going to happen. Not going to happen. China, there's just so many going against China. China's got a lot of enemies, Japan being one, and Japan is really upgrading their military too. They're not an easy force for China to defeat. Then you got South Korea, all the military troops in South Korea. Here in the Philippines, there's no permanent base here, not like before, like Clark Air Base or Subic Naval Base, but there are 9 Philippine bases here that the Americans are upgrading the bases, and there's a continuous soldiers here, American troops. They're not permanently assigned to the Philippines, but in the military, we call it temporary duty. They rotate them. There's always Air Force, Army, Navy, Marines in the Philippines. They just don't want to say that there's permanent party here, but there's always soldiers here from America here in the Philippines. I am not nothing to worry about for me. It's like it is I don't feel unsafe at all being here in the Philippines. It's very well protected. And now with all the ships that the Philippines is rolling out, the missiles aimed at China, aim out at the ocean, it's not going to be an easy task for China. And like I said, they got enemies that surround them. They're not friends with India. I don't know how close they are with Russia. It's like China don't have a lot of friends. It's like, that's why I'm saying it kind of worked out to the Philippines that they pivoted away from China and more close ties with the U.S. But I think it's a good decision for the Philippines also that it's a EDCA agreement. They did not allow American bases here to be permanent because that also, you lose control. When somebody, when the American bases were here, back in my time, I was stationed at Clark. People that were stationed at Subic Naval Base, San Miguel Communications Base, so many bases in the Philippine American bases before. You give up a little bit of your control of your country when somebody is basically occupying you. It's like occupying your country. So it's good to kind of play middle, make sure you're getting, the U.S. has high interest to keep upgrading the Philippines economically. Mark Rubio was just here last year. I remember I took a picture of it. I'll show you. This is Mark Rubio meeting with Bongbong Marcos in Washington, D.C. And besides the military aid that the U.S. is giving, this was back in July 2025. $60 million in foreign assistance that the thing with America, the thing with like the military funds, assistance or financial, it's not a loan. The United States is giving this money, giving this military supplies to the Philippines. It's not the way China works. Before China, they offered the Philippines, we're going to build your highways. We're going to build your bridges, infrastructure. We're going to build your ports on a loan. with interest. That's how China works, right? I don't think anybody a lot of countries now are in debt to China, right? In Africa, Brazil, so many countries are in debt with China. I'm glad that the Philippines is not one of those countries. I'm glad that it just kind of worked out because it almost headed that way for the Philippines, but it just worked out that we didn't get into heavy debt with China. And now, with that Malampaya natural gas, now President Marcos here, U.S. Navy is securing that area because I don't know how much truth it is, but that the new discovery, they haven't discovered natural gas within the past 10 years here in the Philippines. The one they discovered right now, Malampaya East 1 is what they're calling it in Palawan. They are estimating that the natural gas there and also liquid fuel or whatever, I don't know the scientific name. They're estimating it at over $20 trillion. This could be a game changer for the Philippines because, you know how electricity in the Philippines, propane, everything here is expensive. This has a possibility of lowering that. And I'm just glad we pivoted away from China because knowing how China works and the Philippines discovers something like that, they're going to have to put their hands on it and start stealing our stuff. So I have more trust in Americans. Let's bring American companies to harvest this natural gas in the Philippines. They'll make their money. Don't get me wrong. American companies, they're not in it for they want to make their money, but they're fair about doing things. I just don't trust China to be somebody that you can trust. That's somebody that you can trust, right? And I don't think anybody trusts China, man. All right, let me go back to the comments here. Almost. All right. Almost to the end. All right. Go on. Is Grab in Calibo area, Brian? No, we don't have Grab. There's now similar to Food Panda. If you want to order food, there's a couple of companies now that do it in Calibo. Grab, as far as transportation, I don't think we'll ever get Grab as transportation. We have so many tricycles here, Brian. Everything runs on tricycle here. Tricycle in Calibo is available almost 24/7. Even at midnight, you can get a tricycle. Even at 4 a.m. in the morning, you can get a tricycle. It's so inexpensive. Tricycles, 15 pesos per person when you ride a tricycle. You can hire a private tricycle, rent the whole tricycle, and not even spend $1.50 or $2. Very cheap. So many tricycles in Calibo. And Calibo's not big, That's the thing about it's not a city. It's just a town. You can pretty much walk everywhere in Calibo. It's a very walkable. But there will be a U.S. ammunition depot. Oh yeah, it's a Subic. They're built. Vaughn, they've announced the 9 bases. Everybody knows the 9 Philippine bases that the U.S. is allowed to use now. They're also deploying 28 forward bases right there where it's the disputed area within the Philippine EEZ. The 200 miles from Philippine coast is owned by the Philippines. There's little islands in there too. And the U.S. and Philippines, they're putting 28 forward locations there. What the U.S. and the U.S. got a great strategy. It's not. They're not. People are always when are they gonna open the military bases, U.S. bases in the Philippines, like Clark Air Base used to be. So that's not how it's gonna work anymore. The way it's gonna work. This is just my opinion, and it's happening now. What the Philippines is becoming is a lot of your military power, a lot of your supplies. Because when you end up fighting a war, the advantage is putting your assets where it needs to be. If something happens in this part of the world, America wants to make sure that there's materials, war materials already deployed here in the Philippines. So basically, big warehouses all over here in the Philippines where America is storing ammunition, bullets, tanks, you name it, that they're already here. It's not going to have to be shipped from the US to come to the Philippines. Forward location. And that was the strategy when I was in South Korea. It's like I used to maintain a WRM, is what we call it in the Air Force. My job was like visiting places in Korea where I would have to check, make sure all the medical supplies aren't expired, or I had to order, replace, because that's what you need. When if ever war happens, you want all these supplies already in place, and that's happening here now in the Philippines. Because Americans are, man. Americans are always ready, man. We're like the Boy Scouts, man. We're always prepared. China is experiencing karma from their past actions. I think so. I think so, Joe. I think they made a mistake with that bullying the Philippines, because what it all started in 2016. The Philippines had sued over that disputed area, and the World Court, The Hague, decided in favor of the Philippines that yes, these area belong to you, Philippines. But what does China say? It doesn't. We don't care. We follow our law in China. So they're not playing by everybody's rules. The Philippines went to international court and won, but China doesn't recognize it. So how can you be friends with that? It's like, if I was the Philippines, I wouldn't want to be friends with that. Everybody, the world already decided, world court order decided in favor of the Philippines, and you're ignoring it because you're basically a bully. You're basically saying that we don't care what the world court says. It is still ours, and they look at the whole area, the 9 dash line, what they call, basically everything in that area belongs to them. It belongs to China. They're not having many friends, I think that's the mistake, like karma that you're talking about, Joe, is, you can't make so many enemies, it's like, the enemies are going to gang up on you, and I think that's what's happening. That's what's happening. Protect our brothers. Protect our brothers. Yes, protect our brothers. Martin, my wife's hometown, Mayor Go was a China. Yeah, become very popular. I remember that lady's picture, became like a meme here, became very popular. I am all into Gino talking about politics and geopolitics. It's just a necessary evil, but it must be talked about for the sovereignty of the Philippines. Vaughn, oh no way. That's Bamban. Yeah, in Tarlac, that mayor, the female mayor. Oh no way. All right, John. Fortune, Gino, good morning. Colonel knows a lady who had an admiration. The guys was stationed in Japan and went to Philippines in one of those temporary duties. You mentioned Amerasians, man. I read an article. It's still a big number here in the Philippines, man. And then now, because a lot of during the U.S. naval base in Olongapo, Subic Naval Base, American U.S. base, and then Clark back in the 80s until it got shut down in 1992. Over those years, there was a lot of kids that got left in the area, that were kids of GIs, military kids that they didn't, they left the kids there. Well, those same kids, they're older now and they have their own kids. So it's like second, third generation now of Amerasians. And the last count they were counting, there's like over 200,000 of them, They're still trying to they do not have any benefits coming from the U.S. because I think the distinction that they say during that time that the Philippines was an ally. A lot of during that time, Vietnamese, Cambodian, Laos, a lot of the refugees, a lot of those even Amerasians, they were able to make it to the United States because there were some type of war. Well, there's a distinction because the Philippines was an ally. So based on that, a lot of the Amerasian kids that were here in the Philippines never made it to America. They're still, I think, in Congress. They're still trying to do something. It's like, hopefully one day, hopefully they'll have recognition. But there's a lot of them. Over 200,000 Amerasian Filipinos with American parents, mostly probably military GIs back here in the Philippines. J-Boy, we only pivoted to China because we were kind of still leaning before that. I'm not, I don't know enough, Duterte, Marcos, and all that. I don't get into that. But I do know, I'm not either side, but I think Duterte was more like he was playing both sides. He was trying to get what he can get. It wasn't like he committed so much to China, but now we're definitely under the Marcos administration, definitely more American now. Right on, J-Boy, right on. Brian, LNG. Captain Ron, Gino, look up Dairy Box Calibo. I did. I looked up Dairy Box Calibo Aklan. I guess Dairy Box is almost kind of like a franchise. I saw several Dairy Box, like they're located in Bohol, different areas of the Philippines. But when I looked up Dairy Box, I found a guy, and I know him. His name is Soviet. Soviet. I've met him before. He does a lot of good things agriculture-wise, and but I haven't found the shop. I haven't found what shop to go to buy the Carabao milk. I'll work on it, man. Eventually, I'll figure it out. That's the one thing here. They're not good at. You would think if they're creating Carabao milk, at that Dairy Box or whatever, it would make it to the grocery stores where people can see it and buy it. It's not advertised well, or it looks like I have to go to Barangay Kaano where the agriculture aqua place is. So I'll find it. I won't give up because I do want to try it. I want to try the Carabao milk, man. One, the only investment China made the Philippines recently was Pogo. Yeah, and hopefully that's all gone. It's like hopefully all that Pogo is gone. Hey, go ahead. Pogo, for people that don't know, it's like all that illegal online gambling that the Chinese brought here in the Philippines. That's why there's a surplus of condominiums in the Philippines, because those Pogo was operating in a lot of those condos in the Philippines, and they just disappeared. They just disappeared because they went after them. They shut them down because they were also involved in drugs and human trafficking and all that. It's basically nothing good. Nothing good came out of Pogo. Good AM, John V, Fortune, right? J-Boy, Derek. Before at Subic, there was a naval magazine. Yeah, I remember. At Clark, we had Stars and Stripes was the newspaper, but we also had something like the Philippine something, like a flyer. The flyer that came. Fortune, China funded the Duterte campaign, gifted his family 2 tons. Magnetic lifters to, that's a lot, man. American has asked, I remember Diego Garcia, even during my military days, Derek, when I was stationed at Clark, we used to send people to Diego Garcia. This was like 1988 to 1991. Yeah, I remember Diego Garcia. I mean, that's the thing, that's, the United States has been doing that forever. Like I said, when I was in Korea, that was my job in Korea when I was stationed in Korea. The war materials, assets that they're pre-positioned in Korea. All over Korea, there's like warehouses where there's a supply of medical supply and ammunition ready to go if something goes down. if the North decides to invade the South, something happens. Because it's not the time to be looking for bullets or medical supplies when there's already war. You want everything pre-positioned. And that's what the United States is doing here in the Philippines. If something happens here, the Philippines and America, they're ready. It's like, it's not gonna be easy take like it was maybe a few years ago. Maybe it would be easy for China to invade Taiwan, to invade the Philippines. It's not gonna be easy, man. The minute a ship moves out of the port in China, United States, everybody already eyeballing them, and they have so many enemies now. It's like, it's not just America. It's also Australia. It's also Canada. It's also France. It's also Germany, Japan, South Korea. There's like the South China Sea, what they call South China Sea, is being patrolled by many flags of different nations now. It's an allied nation that they're not going to allow China to take over that area or shut it down or something, do something crazy in that area. Fortune and Bond, some of the pogos were not for gaming business. Some say drug manufacturing, weapons for slow invasion. Your live stream are always a relaxing, pleasant experience. Morning, Gino. All right. Never a dull moment. The perfect kickstart of the day. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Castaway Drift. Appreciate that. Yes, Michael S. Gino's topic cover a lot for expats. Brian, have a great day. Catch ya next time. All right, brother. All right, brother. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Castaway Drift. Good morning. Good morning, John. Derek. Leah and Blair blog are helping out. They always, I've watched a couple of their videos. Very helpful in finding parents of the Amerasian kids. Yes, exactly, Master Fortune. For I appreciate how Gino presents himself during his live streams. Amazing, genuine following. Oh, thank you, Michael S. Along with simple being a good man. My morning go-to. All right, thank you, man. Appreciate that. Yes, Derek, helping a lot. The Philippines always picks the wrong side. Picks the wrong side. Well, I think right now we're in a good spot. I think the Philippines, we're on the American side. Americans is funding, not just military funding, foreign assistance to the Philippines, but they don't have a base. They're not on top of the Philippines. They're on an agreement. I think that's a good spot. You can't say that America is controlling the Philippines, right? Easily. It could be Marcos' era right now. We're leaning towards the U.S., but Marcos says until 2028. You don't know who the next administration is going to be. They can pivot to China. I think you're in a better spot when you could do that. You're kind of playing both sides, see what you can get from both sides. But right now it seems like we're getting a lot more from the U.S., so it makes sense to be in the U.S. side. I don't think the Philippines is getting much from China. It's like maybe China's got to step up their game because all I'm hearing from China is like they're chewing out the Philippines. Like I just saw in the news earlier, I was going through like China is upset that the Philippines is patrolling the Scarborough Shoal, and it's like they're inciting violence in the area. I'm like, Philippines is not the one inciting there. We're not the ones blowing water cannon at people or ramming their ships at our Coast Guard. We're not doing that. It's China. China is doing that, man. Genuine. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. Yes, Michael, I recommend Gino channel for learning how to have soft landing here in the Philippines. Then I recommend you if they want to see particular Dumaguete. Philippines has some of the highest deposits of hard water, use hydrogen energy, which will be highly sought after in the future too. The waters between Bohol, Mindanao. And I think that's what they're finding out, right, Ted? That the Philippines got like a lot of natural assets, man. Like I said, that the one Palawan East one, the new discovery. I saw one article. I don't know how much truth it is, but we'll see. We'll see in the future. But I'm sure. I'm sure Americans' interests are peaked. When they mention like 26 trillion dollars in natural gas and liquid fuel. It's like that piques a lot of interest. And I'm sure China's pissed. I'm sure they're like, dang, that could have been ours. We could have stolen that. Gino has the experience, and he is a testament to both American and thank you, Fortune. Nice info, Ted. Hi from Iran. That's funny. From Iran. Yeah, Fortune. It's a gold mine for the Philippines. Yeah, it's like they're finding so many, that we have a lot of natural resources here. And if we partner with the right company, like an American company that's willing to share, it's like that don't try to rip us off, it will lower the energy cost here in the Philippines. It will be good for many, many years coming for the Philippines. I'm looking forward to it. That's why I started paying attention, especially with this Malampaya East one. I'm really curious which American companies will come and harvest that stuff and help the Philippines with that. The U.S. Navy is helping secure the area with the Philippine Air Force, the Philippine military. So that's a good sign. It's like I don't think I would have felt safe if this time with that kind of discovery, that amount of money, if China was our ally. I just do not trust China. China even want our Bingham. Yeah, rice. That's in the east coast of the Philippines. Imagine that. It's in the east coast of the Philippines. It's not even like the west coast of the Philippines. They even want that, For them to claim that, it means for them that the Philippines as a whole is theirs. The 9-dash line is in the west. I know the 9 and the 9-dash line, it's like the Hague, the international court already sided with the Philippines back in 2016 that basically the 9-dash line is nonsense, but China plays by their own rules. Fortune doesn't surprise me. Young Fresh, hey, Philippines and USA have an ironclad relationship, strong military. Only thing I hope next leader don't play on China. Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, you don't know what will happen here in the Philippines. 2028, it's like the new. Here in the Philippines, they elect a president. The president is president for 6 years. He can't run again. So it's gonna be another president come 2028. So things change. Of course, whoever's in charge, things can change. Is the second largest exporter of banana. Oh, I saw that, man. We're like the second largest. Ecuador being one, Philippines number 2 with bananas. That's all right. But the Malampaya has been producing LNG many years now. I think the new discovery is another area, but still within. Yeah. Basically, a Fortune, from what I've read so far, it's been producing that Malampaya currently, but it's running low. That's why they were searching in the same area in Palawan. It's the discovery is called Malampaya East 1. So it's basically east of where the current where the drill current natural gas is coming from. So they found the new spot, and the new spot is very promising. Looking like trillions of dollars worth of natural will power the Philippines for many, many years. Will reduce our reliance on importing coal and importing natural gas from other countries. So very great discovery. And like I said, kind of worked out to the Philippines' favor that we're sided with America right now, because I'm sure America, the Navy's here already, U.S. Navy's here to protect it with the the Philippine military. Now I'm sure, you know, the minute you mention trillions of dollars, man, American companies are going to come to the Philippines, want a piece of that. And that's okay, you know, because they have the equipment, they have the technology to harvest it. But one thing about American companies, they're honest. They're not gonna be greedy. They're gonna make their money, but make sure that the Philippines, if it's the Philippines will make money, America will make money. I just don't think that dynamic is common when you're involved yourself with China. China's greedy, man. You know, that's just my opinion. It's my opinion. You know, I would not trust China with anything. All right, my dog is barking. Let me. Boy, who are you barking at? All right. Hey, I'm closing in on 2 hours, so I'm going to end the live stream. Again, tomorrow, no live stream tomorrow. I'm going to start doing a live stream every other day. That way, I don't run out of topics, you know, because I'll run out of topics. It's getting harder for me to think of the topics to discuss. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining the live stream today. I appreciate everyone. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Martin, the other positive is how many Filipino Americans in the US and across the world will actually go to the Philippines or contribute to their defense in some way. For sure, man. You know, the Filipinos, man, most Filipinos I know are proud to be a Filipino. Even when they become American citizens, they still view themselves as Filipino. I've always viewed myself as a Filipino, you know. Even when I got my United States citizenship, we're proud to be Filipinos. It was kind of rare. Vaughn mentioned like that one from Canada, his friend from Canada, I don't like the Philippines. I'm like, well, you know, everybody's entitled to how whatever they view. But, you know, most Filipinos I know, we're all proud Filipinos, man. Like if I have to lay down my life for the Philippines in honor of the U.S. and Philippine brotherhood or like the military, I'll do it, man. It's like not even a question if I have to defend the Philippines ever, man. Thank you, my brother, always. All right, say 98 billion cubic feet, 14 billion kilowatt hours, man. I know it's a lot. I know it's in the billions, man. It's in the billions, Fortune. God bless. Hey, God bless, Baluz. If there was ever a danger of China, the USA is honest. Look what they are doing to Venezuela. Yeah, I mean, China can't be happy, right? They got booted out of Venezuela, man. You know, so. And now they're pretty much booted out of the Philippines too. You know, it's like there are no projects here in the Philippines that China's controlling anymore. They're not building any roads here. And even when they were planning on building or when they were building structure here in the Philippines, they were bringing Chinese here. They're bringing their own people. They're not even employing Filipinos here, you know. And it wasn't like an aid. Like I was saying, it's not even aid. You know, what China does is like, they'll build you a new airport, they'll build you a new a port, they'll build you highways, they'll build you new buildings, but it's a loan with interest, you know. It's not foreign aid that they're giving you. They're trying to indebt you, that way they can start harvesting your natural resources. By the way, how is the puppy? So cute. All right, let me show you the puppy real quick before I can end it that way, so you guys can see Kal-El. Kal-El. Hey, Kal-El. Let me show ya. Let me show ya. All right, I'm going to end the live stream with Kal-El. Kal-El, yesterday, Kal-El had a bath. Kal-El, check it out, check it out. Kal-El had his first bath ever. Kal-El right now, he weighs about 2 pounds. He's about 1 kilo now. Very active, very likes to chew stuff, likes to chew everything, but he's a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun. We just love him. He's like good character. He's like a good character. That was a joke. I guess you didn't get it. Oh, okay. I guess I didn't get it, Phil. USA is honest. I think the USA is honest. You know, I'm a patriot, man. I believe in America. I think Venezuela is in better hands than they were with China. You know, it's like I would not trust China with anything. Kal-El, right here, Kal-El. Reminds me the Ewok. I know. He's like an Ewok right there. Kal-El, hey baby, Kal-El. He's like an Ewok. And he's tiny, man. He's tomorrow he'll be 3 months and he's only 2 pounds. Of course, Toto is freaking out every time Kal-El's down here downstairs. All right, thank you everyone. Thank you for joining the live stream. Kal-El wants to come down. Here we go, baby. Take care, everyone. Everyone stay blessed. Stay blessed.